Hello and welcome to the Nightly Met. I'm Avery Anderson, and we have some great interviews lined up for you this week. Leading us off is our musical guest this evening, Wild Mountain. Wild Mountain is a folk band based here in Denver. Their music is a combination of Irish, Americana, and bluegrass. Hi guys, how are you?
Avery, very
good. So why don't we just start in going around, tell me who you are and what you do in the band. So why don't we start on the end and work our way back this way?
Well, I'm Andy Maroney. I play drums and cymbals.
Cool.
I'm Renee Fine, and I play the fiddle.
Mike Nile, guitar and mandolin and vocal.
Sarah Jones, I'm the lead vocalist.
My name's David Potter. I play the banjo, acoustic guitar, electric guitar, and stomp my feet a lot.
I'm Joe, and I play the bass.
So why don't we just start, tell me a little bit, what is Wild Mountain? What is your guys' music in your words? What are you guys going to play?
Well, Wild Mountain originally started, Renee and I had been in an Irish Celtic band for several years, and that was coming to an end. We were at a friend's pub jamming, and David Potter walked in and started playing banjo to some of our Irish songs. And we kind of went, oh, that's a nice sound, it's a nice combination. Yeah. Decided to kind of see what we could do with mixing a little bluegrass. It's not bluegrass because we have a drummer. Mm-hmm. So taking the Irish music, mixing it with the bluegrass, the folk, we call it green grass because of the Irish influence. Sarah was a vocalist. We were working on a project together. It was a 23-piece Celtic orchestra, and Sarah was the lead vocalist for the Celtic orchestra. So we brought her in to do the singing, and after David put his banjo on things, and Sarah went ahead and came in and did the vocals, seemed like it was going to work. We talked about it and decided, well, how about Wild Mountain? And we put it together. Fortunately, we met, Andy moved in right next door to me, so you can't beat that. I mean, literally right next door to the drummer, and heard what was going on, came over, and so we got that. And Joe, I've known Joe for years and years. He played in my son's bands as well, and so I was familiar with Joe. So the melding took place, and hence Greengrass Music was born.
Very cool. I like it. I love just all the perfect timing and coincidences that came together to make this happen.
That's what life is sometimes about,
exactly.
Isn't it?
And seeing those signs and letting them happen. So for you guys, what's it like to kind of get to do this music that most other people don't get to do? It's kind of unique and original for you. So what's that like?
Well, it's definitely been an interesting trip for us so far. We are welcomed in all the Irish pubs, very much so, which is a good thing. That's kind of where our staple came from. But what's really cool is the fact that it's opened up the bluegrass and the folk music, and even country music has opened up to us as well. That surprises us probably more than anything, that suddenly country people were gravitating to listening to the videos and watching things and, on Facebook, and wildmountaingreengrass.com being our website. A lot of them started tuning in, and it's been really fun watching the audience expand.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone else want to add anything to that? Summed it up perfectly. No worries. So just talk about kind of, I think a lot of people don't know Denver has a pretty good kind of Celtic Irish music scene. I think especially a lot of college students don't even know that music exists sometimes, and it's, well, we have several bands. So talk about getting to play in Denver and in this community, and maybe some of the places you play and that sort of thing.
Anybody else? You want me to step in?
Well, as Mike was saying, we do hit a lot of the Irish pubs. We play in Aurora, we play in Denver and Wheat Ridge. We've also been branching out to a couple of different rooms, such as the Walnut Room. We played Laramie Lounge, Your Mom's House. But we're really angling towards some of the bigger festivals this summer, too. Last year, we went out to Evanston, Wyoming, and did the Evanston Bluegrass Fest, which is a big deal out there. And we're returning for a second year in a row this year, so that will be in June. Okay, cool. Then usually the night before we'll hit Salt Lake City, Piper Down Pub there, and they're welcoming us back again for a second time. So they don't hate us. Yep. They're letting us come back. That's a good thing.
If people are looking for, if there's young folks that want to really tune in, and it's not too far away, Clancy's Irish Pub. It's on West 38th Avenue in Wheat Ridge, so it's not very far. You just take Spear up to 38th, and you can just whip it over. Not only great food, but we play. That's our home pub. We're there at least once a month. It's just a great environment. Yeah. I mean, Jeff, the owner there, he's very savvy. He brings in all of the various Irish and Celtic acts, as well as some great blues bands and things like that. So that's, there are some places here in town. There's a few of the older pubs that kind of closed up over the last couple of years. One not too far from here, Fido Irish Pub. We used to play there quite a bit. in the old days, but that's gone. So yeah, if they're looking for someplace close by, I recommend Clancy's Irish Pub. It's a grand place to just get a good meal, sit back and watch some great music.
Awesome, very cool.
And they have waffle fries. Don't
And they
forget the
have
waffle
waffle
fries.
Right.
And did I see you guys are performing at Food Truck Carnival?
Yes.
In a
Yes.
couple months?
Yes.
Coming up.
Yeah, up in Northglenn. That's where I'm from, is Northglenn. And have you guys been to the Food Truck Carnival before?
This will
We
be
have
our first
not.
year.
This will be our first time.
It's crazy. I was there the first year, and like you could see cars backed up on the highway trying to get off the exit.
Oh, nice.
So it's a very cool. I just was wondering if you guys have been there before.
No.
So you go to Food Truck Carnival, check that out as well for viewers. Why don't we go around and just talk about your favorite part of playing in the band? Why don't we start this way and go around?
My favorite part is probably just playing big festivals.
Yeah.
Getting to play in front of a lot of people.
Very cool.
You know, it's actually a really good question. As a banjo player in the bluegrass field, a lot of things tend to be kind of typical and similar. So being a part of this band is wonderful because I get to challenge my thought on the banjo and do some different things, and do some different things that I would not normally do in a bluegrass band. So, you know, Andy and I play off of each other a little bit different since we have a drummer. And in a lot of bluegrass bands, the banjo is actually the rhythm person as well as the banjo player. So since we have the rhythm taken care of, it allows me to do a few fun things on the banjo, which is great. And it also challenges me a lot too. I joke around a lot that I have neurons on the right side of my brain reaching to the neurons on the left side of my brain, trying to connect, because I'm also singing lead and singing harmony while trying to play the banjo at the same time. So if there's anybody who thinks the banjo is hard, try singing harmony and playing it at the same time. So it definitely challenges me quite a bit. So.
Well, I never really had a focus for singing. I've sang all my life, and I never was like, I want to be this kind of singer or part of this kind of music, and so I just kind of tumbled with the wind, if you so. And my first band I was in was actually a really hard rock band, and we did that for about 6 years. And when that band ended, I ended up meeting some people who sang in a Celtic group, and I thought, why not? I've got nothing else going on. And so I did that for a few years, and then that's how I met Mike, which he said earlier. And when I joined this group, it's been actually really good for me vocally, because Mike is really good at pushing me where I won't normally go. I've also written electronic music. My brother and I, we produce, and I'm a little timid to push myself into like higher ranges and stuff, and so it's been nice with Mike. I've actually really been able to kind of hone in, or whatever, I don't know if that's the right word, fine tune my voice and just expand my range, like up way higher, going really low, and it allows me to try different things. I used to be real scared to record and mess around, as we usually do the last couple takes that when we're recording. And I used to be just really scared and giggle a lot if I like hit a wrong note, and so I've gotten a lot more confident as well.
Very cool. I love it.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite is, as a songwriter, it's lovely to come up with an angle on music that's a little bit different. We're not repeating or going down the same path someone else has been down before. So that's very fascinating for me as a songwriter, and I think I like that. And along with the fact that I just play with some fantastic musicians, so it's great when you have a song and you can literally take it to people, and suddenly there it is, and
Comes to life.
And it comes to life.
Yeah. Perfect.
I like playing new music all the time. He's constantly writing music, and so we've always got a great challenge on new music at all the rehearsals, and I love playing the festivals. I love the live performance. Probably the best, of course. Recording is scary for me, but I like the live performance the best.
Well, I've been playing drums since probably before most people watching this have been alive. And I had played the whole cover band circuit and the rock and roll thing and some jazz stuff. But I had gotten tired of just playing for playing's sake. And I was kind of waiting to find the right project. I moved in next to these guys, and I heard them rehearsing a couple times a week, and heard them through the walls, and I was like, oh, they sound pretty good. So went to go see him at Clancy's a couple times, and I heard Sarah's voice, and like this like click happened in my brain. I was like, wow, amazing. The whole combination of the different sounds. I was like, I wouldn't mind being a part of this. So sure enough, a few months went by, and it turned out their first drummer was retiring. John Ware, studio legend. He's played with all the greats. And there's some, honestly, big shoes to fill. Not necessarily my wheelhouse of style of music either. I never dreamed I was going to be growing up playing Celtic, Irish, bluegrass, folk, Americana, whatever you want to call it. But I was up for the challenge because it was different, it was original, and these guys had just such a great sound and a good following. So I felt it was something I could easily jump on board with. Plus the fact that I need to walk next door to rehearsals makes it a little bit easier.
Very easy.
So yeah, definitely one of the best, if not the best musical experience I've had in my life.
Well, very cool. Well, guys, we're out of time, so thank you so much for coming down. We loved having you, and we're excited to hear you perform. Yeah.
Last week, the Aurora Fox opened the regional premiere of Passing Strange. This Tony Award-winning show is a rock musical following the story of a young man discovering his art and himself.
The songs are kind of performed almost in a kind of concert way. It's like a marriage between like this is theater and it's also a rock concert.
But sometimes shows like this, the producers got to fight for me. But those are the gems, you know. And when we can get those outside of New York, then that's a really rare experience.
One of the elements that makes this show stand out is that it's performed with an all-black cast.
But I think the cool thing about this show is, and everybody's got to come see it, right, is because you get to see an ensemble of black people play different versions of black that just frankly we haven't seen. It's significant because you don't see an all-black cast telling this type of story.
I like that it's an all-black cast, and I like that it's an atypical show for an all-black cast. I like that it casts us in a different light, and it gives us a chance to do things that we don't often get to do in a lot of other shows.
I say before it's a black story, it's an American story, because I think it's a very American theme to go out into the world, you know, and bring parts of you with it.
This show is just an excellent example of the fact that we're not monolithic. There are so many different aspects to our experience, and this kind of sheds light on a part of our experience that isn't seen as often.
To see your culture, your heritage on stage and celebrate that and then let the world come in and see it, that's pretty exciting.
But it's a show unlike anything I've ever done before. I don't know, I guess since it's kind of a coming of age story, you know, I'd hope that people who are older would, maybe it would inspire them to look back. And then people who are younger inspire them to look forward. As far as the show, the music is incredible, plot is relatable, it really draws you in.
Passing Strange is playing at the Aurora Fox until May 13th.
With me now is a choreographer extraordinaire. She works as an actress and a dancer and is in Bullets Over Broadway at Vintage Theater. Please welcome Adrianne Hampton. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm very well.
You're very well.
Very
Perfect.
well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Bullets Over Broadway a little bit. So just start, what is the show?
It was a 1920s Woody Allen film.
Mm-hmm.
So it was adapted into a musical version about 6 years ago. And we are making the regional premiere tonight in Denver. It's the regional premiere.
Very cool.
Thank
Now, don't
you.
give us any spoilers, but kind of what's the general story about?
Story about, wow. Well, it's a comedy. It's a little dirty. It's very
As
tongue in
most good
cheek,
comedies are.
right? Especially Woody Allen.
Yeah.
But basically, a tribute to the 1920s. You know, the story of gangsters and a play reading that happens, and David Shane is the writer, and he hires, unfortunately, this really, really bad actress, the gangster's girlfriend, which is Olive Neal, which is what I'm playing, and the whole story is basically the whole reading of the playwriting that he did. And a couple people don't make it through the show.
Oh, no.
The gangsters take a couple people away.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you play Olive?
I do.
Correct. Tell us
Yes.
about Olive a little bit.
Oh, Olive is so much fun. Jennifer Tilly played her in the movie, and she is Nick's girlfriend, the gangster's girlfriend, and she is not very smart, and she knows how to use her sexuality and her gifts. She thinks she's a very, very good singer, dancer, actress. She thinks she should be on Broadway.
Yeah.
And she gets on Broadway because she is Nick's girlfriend. He foots the bill, and she is not very good.
Doesn't have the chops to meet up.
She doesn't have the chops, but
Okay.
she thinks she does. Yeah, she's very, very fun to play. She's not very smart.
And this show's directed by John Ashton.
John Ashton,
who I always
yes.
say he's been working in Colorado theater longer than Colorado's been around.
Wow. Yes.
So talk about what it's like working with him as a director.
Oh, he's fantastic. He is just, he's been working on the show for about 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
He's just very organized. He creates a very, very warm environment so you can make choices. And he's very supportive and lovely and funny and just incredible to work with. I feel so honored to play this role under his direction.
And you, with having such an extensive dance background,
Yes.
how has that prepared you for this show? Because there's a fair bit of dancing in it.
Well, I get to dance in this show,
Yeah.
which is super duper fun. I dance in the opening number, and I do some high kicks, and I do the splits. So, but I also am able to carry myself as a dancer, as I think Olive was a dancer. So that definitely helps. It's fun because it's a triple threat role.
Yeah.
Get to sing, get to dance, and get to act.
Yeah.
Love it.
And this isn't your first time doing a role with vintage in this kind.
No.
Billy Elliot was last year.
Yes.
So talk about that a little bit.
Oh, wow. I just feel very grateful that I got to come back from LA for 7 years and do 2 roles that I think sort of my arch nemesis.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I could relate to Mrs. Wilkinson and the dance teacher because I am a dance teacher, but I can also relate a little bit to Olive. I know people are going to read into that, but so there are 2 really, really fun roles that I feel like just came at the right time.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it. And you, like you said, you are a dance teacher. You do Broadway boot camp.
Yes,
Correct?
yes, you're good.
I know.
Oh, wow, you do your research.
Talk about Broadway boot camp a little bit.
When I came back to Denver, I just felt like there wasn't enough of classes. When I lived in LA and I lived in New York, you could always find musical theater classes. And I studied when I was in New York. I took from everybody, Andy Blankenbuehler, you name them, and learned my craft really, really well. When I came back to Denver, I just thought, we need training here. So I put together a Broadway boot camp, and people thought I was crazy for doing it because people are always in shows.
Right.
But when people aren't in shows, we
something of it.
come in, we dance, we have created a great community. I get to pick dancers for shows. I find people and I say, will you audition for this show as I'm working as a choreographer? And it's a safe place for people to just dance.
Yeah.
And also people that just love to dance. It's been amazing.
Yeah.
It's been wonderful.
Yeah. What's it like, as you said, getting to build that community? So what's it like kind of to be the one who gets to do that? And be at the forefront of
It's
it?
incredible. I have met some of the most amazing people through it, and I say that with all honesty. I have fallen in love with all of my students. We have also we've also created good friendships.
Yep.
We can talk about our ups and our downs, our shows that we're cast in, our what to do, what not to do. It's just lovely.
Yeah.
It's lovely to have created and be a part of a wonderful community in Denver.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on
Oh,
tonight.
thank you.
Yeah, and be sure to check out Bullets Over Broadway at Vintage Theater, playing now.
Yes.
All right, perfect. Stick around. We'll be right back. Our next guests are from the Boulder-based theater company, the Catamounts, and Control Group Productions. They present immersive theater experiences and now have a new show, Roush, coming soon. Here with us is Amanda Berg-Wilson and Patrick Mueller. How are you guys?
Awesome.
Good. Did I say the name of the show correctly?
You did.
Like,
Yeah.
but
Needs
not
that-
only correctly, but with the right kind of energy.
With the right, you guys have like really add some oomph to it. So talk a little bit about the show, Roush.
You want to take it?
So the word Rausch is a German word. It means intoxication, but it's also a pivotal word in German philosophy. Rausch is life force and chaos and all of the messy vibrancy of the world. And so it's in German philosophy, it's juxtaposed with order and harmony and melody, the symmetry that makes beauty. And so they both relate to Greek mythology. On the one hand, Rausch is connected with Dionysus and party and revelry, and then Apollo represents the order and harmony of the beauty aesthetic. So the show is delving into the excited chaos.
It's an outdoor immersive theater piece. So Patrick and I have both been a part of the Denver Center's last 2 immersive projects, Sweet and Lucky. We were both performers in it. And then I directed The Wild Party and Patrick choreographed it. And we really wanted to make sure that immersive theater continued to thrive in this community, and knew that in order to do that, that it needed to be something that was taken on by not just the Denver Center, and our companies are both Control Group's a dance theater company. The Catamounts are an adventurous, boundary-pushing theater company, and we just knew that probably if anybody was going to tackle it, it needed to be us. So, but immersive theater is incredibly resource intensive, and so we started to think about where can we plant it, where can we place an immersive project that's going to allow us to invest our resources wisely, because we have less of them than the Denver Center. And we started to think about Colorado and how beautiful it is. And just the experiment of taking this concept of Rausch and ecstasy and chaos and the way that we sort of lose our sense of self sometimes when we're in ecstasy, and think about how we all feel that way sometimes in the outdoors.
Yeah, exactly. And for those who don't know, explain kind of what immersive theater is. I'm an immersive theater nerd. I love it, but for some people, they might have no idea what that means. So kind of what is immersive theater?
Yeah, you know, it's really interesting because I think it's something that, it's an emerging field.
Yeah.
And so it's still being defined. I think that it really hit the United States with Punch Drunk's production of Sleep No More in New York, which is an adaptation of the Scottish play that's installed in an old hotel. It's not actually an old hotel, but that's sort of the conceit of it. And it takes place on multiple floors. There's no specific route through the piece. You just you wander into different rooms. You sometimes are engaged by a performer who takes you, maybe just you, on a particular path. But I think that what it's starting to mean, at least for us, is just a couple of key things. One, the audience is not in a conventional relationship with either the performers or the space. So they're somehow engaged three-dimensionally in both the storytelling process and in the physical environment. And then also that it functions, I think, on multiple levels where you're not just being story told through words and character development, but also through movement and also through a tactile interaction with the environment, also maybe through food and drink. And I don't know, what else do you think is sort of key to immersive theater?
I mean, definitely the richness of experience, and there are a bunch of conventions. It tends to be closer, just physically. It tends to be smaller audience groups, so that the audience really feels like they're active in the experience. They make choices about not just their viewing angle, but also how they interact. But I think the bottom line is really that when you go to a theater and sit in the dark half, you sort of leave yourself behind. You are just a set of eyes and ears, and sending all of that over there to receive the art. In immersive theater, you are in the midst of it, and so you are very aware of yourself as an actor, as part of the landscape. You're aware of the choices that you're making, so it's an embodied experience.
And I want to bring up, this is, you mentioned it briefly, different than some immersive experiences of this is outdoors. So we're not in a building, we are in nature for this experience. So we're running out of time, but just briefly talk, what was the reasoning behind doing it? And from a production standpoint, how does that work out?
It was partly a financial choice that it takes away several
For sure.
$100,000 of set design cost. But it was also a very fascinating challenge. It's a space that has its own richness already built in, that as Coloradans, no matter what your relationship is with it, you have a deep relationship, whether it's just looking out the window at sunsets or spending days, hiking with your, home on your back. And so it seemed like a ripe topic as well as a setting.
Yeah.
And in order to sort of prepare against the exigencies of the outdoors, we're actually starting the show on a bus. So that bus is transporting us to the outdoor location, which we won't reveal. So we reveal where the bus departs from, but not where you're going.
Okay.
And part of that is just in case the weather gets crazy, there's somewhere to duck for shelter. Yeah.
And we are running out of time. They're telling me to wrap up, but I want to talk about there is a Kickstarter campaign to help fund this. So talk about Kickstarter. What are some of the options they can get through that for it?
Well, first and foremost, just at the $10 level, just like a low investment, you get a pre-sale code. We only can accommodate 48 audience members a night. And so we do imagine that those tickets are going to go quickly. So that's a way of just ensuring that you get first crack at tickets. As the levels go up, we have the opportunity to let us help costume you, because part of the fun of immersive theater is getting to dress up and be part of the experience. We have playlists that we've curated. We have a provision pack, which is a little sort of fanny pack that you get to take with all kinds of goodies for the journey. So and again, we're both companies are going out on a limb.
Yeah, for sure.
Bringing this work, so supporting us through the Kickstarter is just really an investment in this becoming a salient art form here in the community.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys both so much for coming on. I'm really excited for the show. I think it's going to be a fantastic show. And like you said, only 48 tickets per performance, so better get them now. All right.
Thank you so much, Adrian,
Thank you
for having
guys.
us.
All right. Be sure to stick around. When we come back, Wild Mountain is going to perform and play a little song for us. All right. We'll be back.
Be Whack for my daddy-o. Whack for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar. Whack for my daddy-o. Whack for my daddy-o. There's whiskey in the jar.
Just because you're neighbors doesn't mean you have to be neighborly. Two couples are ready to get their hands dirty and stake their claim on what is rightfully theirs, even if they have to nip their blooming friendship in the bud to do it. Dealing with next-door nonsense has never been more heartfelt and witty than in Native Gardens, a bright and clever comedy. See it from April 6th to May 6th at the Denver Center and get your tickets at denvercenter.org.
This week's game is a classic, but a new one to all of us. Speak out. Each person will use the Dental Dam's new, unused, sanitary, I promise, and they'll say a phrase on the card. The rest of us will try and guess. We'll go one by one, and the person that has the most cards by the end wins. Okay? We each have a minute. Does someone want to volunteer to start?
I'll do it. I always just need to get it over with.
I think the first challenge is just like getting it in your mouth. So I think it like goes around.
I'll let you take them.
We're gonna figure this out.
They're all the same size.
They're all the same size. So I
Okay.
think it goes in like this.
Okay.
And it, yeah. No, flip it around, like the big side out. Yeah. Unless,
Okay.
No, like this.
Like vertical.
Will you do it? Okay, and now I put it like that?
No, this part. Yeah.
Just to
You
play
gotta like
cheeks
really
apart.
expand.
Thank you.
So like.
Oh.
No, I think like that.
What if our mouths aren't big enough?
I think this is gonna be the whole game, like trying to fit these in our mouths.
It looks perfect.
No, I think this goes in your lips, like.
Like
No,
over?
definitely. Oh, that.
That's all right.
Chelsea should go. Who knows how to get it in their mouth?
Let's figure this out.
Yeah, well, like we'll just spend a couple minutes trying to figure out how to get these in our mouth.
TMI, right?
Yeah. Like this.
Oh, he's got it. He should
Okay,
go.
right?
You should go.
Is
You
this how
should
you
go.
do it?
Yeah, amazing.
Do you still want me to
gorgeous.
go first?
Wow.
Are you
Kalen's
ready?
already got it in
Is
his
this
mouth,
right?
so why don't you just start?
Yeah,
I
you
don't think
just
it was
go.
right because it was too easy to talk stuff.
Well, we gotta like have some. I think that's it. All right, you ready?
You ready? Okay.
Hold on, I'll flip it over. Ready, set, go.
Who doesn't love a good wedgie?
Who doesn't love a good wedgie?
Hey, I got fire from the boy band.
I got
Fire from the boy band.
The boy band, like NSYNC.
Boy band.
Boy
Boy
band.
band, there you go. Your face is gonna freeze like that.
Your face is gonna freeze like that.
This is too good. Making muscles to viva.
Making muscles to be buff.
Yeah, all
I
right.
feel like that's cheating. That was
Avowed mortal enemies.
avowed mortal enemies.
Platypuses walk sideways.
Platypuses walk sideways.
Squelch is what, a Scottish squish.
Scottish.
Squelch.
The sculptor is a Scottish
Squelch
squish.
is that, a Scottish squish.
You're running out of time. That's time.
That's how it's good.
Take it out.
That's pretty good, though.
Great.
What was that?
What was it?
Squelch is but a Scottish squish.
I don't recognize half of those words.
We just don't know the words. All right.
All right. So keep your pile there.
I'm gonna keep my cards here.
I think that these
1,
are
2,
like, they
3,
need
4,
to come in
5.
sizes. Because look at poor.
Okay.
I just have chipmunk cheeks, so
That works.
it works.
All right. Someone want to go next? Who's gonna be here?
I had
She's
6. I had
working
6
it.
cards.
I think if you flip it so that this thing isn't, yeah, so that that thing goes into the lips.
Oh, these,
Or into
I
that
see.
sheet.
That's,
Yeah, we have
Yeah, that
backwards.
goes in the.
It's not going to be more comfortable.
Amanda, do you want to go next? Well,
sure.
Now that we've.
Got it. You got it. Okay.
got it? All right.
All right, here.
Ready, set, go.
Auntie's magical mullet.
Monty's magical
mullet.
mullet.
Yes.
Okay,
Puppies often say "bow
Puppies
wow." Often say
bow
"bow
often say bow wow.
I can see the cards.
Let's cream on Honkin pastries.
Whipped cream.
Let's cream on Honkin pastries.
Whipped cream on pumpkin pastries.
Scatter royal peasants. Peasants.
Peasants?
Scatter royal peasants.
Scatter
Wild
wild peasants?
Yes.
Scattered wild peasants.
And now go gross, sorry. Inagos eating green guacamole.
Guacamole.
Inagos eating green guacamole.
Somebody's eating green guacamole.
Inago.
Iguanas?
Iguanas.
That's time. Oh, iguanas eating green guacamole.
Yes.
That was really
Thank
good. Really good.
I feel like we should be winning for getting the guess what the
That's true. All right, Amanda, can you get them in?
Yeah, I'm gonna do it this time. Sorry, that was like the most challenged I've been in a long time. Okay, like that?
Yeah.
Our lipsticks can be all over.
That's mine too.
All right, here we go.
Okay, ready, set, go.
Okay. Mystical wizardry around.
Mystical wizardry
dance around.
I promise I'm not peeking.
Nifty nuns having hen.
Nifty nuns having
Hands?
Hen.
fun.
Hen. Pennies clog the wishing wells.
Pennies clog the wishing wells.
Yeah.
Wow,
Okay. Fluffy pink teddy there.
Fluffy pink teddy bear.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea about that.
Mediocre reading of the lines.
A mediator reading the lines.
Mediocre meeting of the minds?
Wow.
Kind neighbor to make me eat.
A kind nerd.
Kind neighbors make me eat.
Kind neighbors make me eat.
Leak.
Weep. All right, done.
Oh, I'm so grateful for my lips. Okay.
All right.
So, I didn't see that second one.
All right.
Right, Patrick?
Here we go. All right, you ready?
We're ready.
Many nice tiny emails.
Many mice tiny emails?
Tight emails.
Tight
emails.
emails. Of course.
Type emails.
When winning wasn't an option, the law was wanted.
When winning wasn't an option, the ball was bunted?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Beware of the lolly chair.
Beware
of the
Wobbly.
Lolly chair.
Wobbly, okay.
Question cautious bus drivers.
Question cautious bus drivers.
Uh-huh.
Bus drivers.
The horse locked your law.
The horse
Locked your
Locked.
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 Bucked.
Your law.
Your mom? The horse bucked your mom?
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
All right, that's time.
All right.
Done.
Do you get to go?
No, I think I'm good.
What?
All right, circle here. Okay. I don't know if I can get one.
Yours is great. How's mine? All over my face.
Oh, it's good.
That's my lipstick.
It's great.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It's like the perfect shade. You know? It's good.
Okay.
Like very natural.
Yeah.
Hercule hot Hercule. This is really bad. No, I'm having that. Others worry non-stop.
Others worry
Stop.
Mothers
Yes.
worry.
Yes. I need quarters for the parking meter.
I need quarters for the parking meter.
Yes. Quintuplets time to Seattle.
Quintuplets time to Seattle.
Yes.
Woo! I don't know those words.
They're doing so well.
Rock, right, bananas.
Looks like bananas.
Looks like bananas.
Look like
Rock, bites, bananas.
Something bites bananas.
Book bites. Brook
Yes.
bites.
Brooke
Rook
bites
bites
bananas.
bananas. Good time.
Good job. All right.
Okay, the one I skipped because it was bad was perfectly popped purple popcorn.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
You
there
need
was
to-
no way that was
that.
happening. No way. Yeah. All right, well, thank you guys so much. Should we count them up real fast
Yeah,
and see who
let's
won?
see.
I got 3, so I think,
There's 6.
Ooh, 6.
6 and 6.
5.
Yeah.
5. Oh, tie. I would say let's make you guys do one more time, but we're at one more round, but we're out of time, so we'll move on from it.
I'm totally fine.
All right, thank you guys so much for playing.
There's a bunch more that are clean, you guys.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back.
Welcome to remote Denver. My name is Heather. I sound a bit artificial. Sorry, I am not human, but I will try to be your friend, and together we will move through some unseen parts of Denver. From the outside, we are a group, appearing and disappearing. On the inside, we are 50 individuals, creating a secret view of Denver. Do you trust me? Are you ready? Let's go.
A metro calling is never done. Works in a rain and on the run. A metro dream is not a sin. It's where it's going, not where it's been. There's a saying down below. Trust in love, who you know. A metro calling is never done. Works in the rain and on the run. Out on the mountain, covered with snow. Across the desert, down below. A metro game plays hand by hand. It's what he's thinking, know where he stands. There's a saying down below. Trust in love, who you know. A metro calling is never done. Works in the rain and on the run. In this ghost town of yesterday, across the junction from today, a man's true life will never fade. It's where he's going, not where he stays. There's a saying down below. Trust in luck and who you know. A man's true calling is never done. Works in the rain and on the run. There's a saying down below. Trust in luck and who you know. A man's true calling is never done. Works in the rain and on the run. Works in the rain and on the run. Rain and on the run.
Some people call us vandals. They want to lock us up and erase us from the streets we walk. But we are artists, and all we want is to be heard. We are making our mark, and this is modern art. Get your tickets at denvercenter.org.
Welcome back with me. Now is Kalond Irlanda. He is an MSU Denver graduate and recently was in the world premiere of Totally Awesome 80 Ski Town USA, a new party musical. Please welcome Kalond Irlanda. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. First off, I just have to say, I love that name of the show. Every
totally.
chance, yeah, every chance I get to say the whole name, I'm like, I'm gonna say the whole name.
It took a while to get to like used to saying out loud because it's just such a long title.
Yeah.
So I used to just start calling it Ski Town. But I mean, it is totally awesome, and it's in the 80s, and it's Ski Town USA.
Yeah.
So.
Talk about getting to do that world premiere show in Breckenridge just a couple weeks ago.
So I've never actually worked in Breckenridge ever. So it was actually my first time being up there, and it's like a beautiful place to be. I love that it's always chilly because I get hot like super easily. So like cold weather is like where I'm at. But in terms of the show, I didn't know what to expect and what to think of it at first. I actually wasn't originally cast in the show, and so they had already had auditions. They were already starting the production side of it. And Kelly Van Osbury, who does choreographer all around Denver, she sent me a message, and she's like, "Hey, so we had an actor drop out. Would you be interested in coming in to do this?" And I was like, "Well, what is it?" And she sent me the title, and I was like, that sounds awful, honestly. But then she sent me this little stick figure drawing of this guy on skis and like what the platform was gonna look like. And she's like, "This could be you." And I was like, "All right, I'll do it." And I'm so glad that I did, because it's like a once in a lifetime opportunity to do new material, especially as a theater actor, because everywhere around Denver, especially in 1 year, they'll do like 3 versions, like 3 different shows of Hairspray in 1 year. You know, it's kind of
very true.
It's just fun to do new stuff.
Exactly.
And
so,
written
by local performers as
well.
Yeah,
which is great.
Yeah, you know, this was a totally local production.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool.
Corey, he goes by Frederick Billersworth on Facebook, so I don't know what his last name is actually. But Corey and Charlie Schmidt, local Denver writers and actors, and they just decided to come up with this idea. I guess they do a lot of shows in Breckenridge. And when they would drive back and forth, they would come up with all these ideas and all the stuff that they loved from 80s movies and ski towns and stuff, and just it all just came together. It was great.
And I want to ask you more than just 80s Ski Town, but I just have to say, and just ask, the night I was there, it was like a crazy night in the audience. I felt like one of the audience members jumped on stage with you guys and decided to join in the show for a moment.
Yeah, so during the show, for anyone who don't know, I have to interact with an audience member named Jeff. So we pick a guy out in the audience, we call him Jeff, and he kind of interacts with us. And I guess one night, some guy who had already seen the show, by the way, who I didn't know about, was like really picked me as Jeff, and we were a little hesitant at first. We're like, okay, all right, you're like super eager and pumped, and he like went with it, and he would jump on stage and do like, he was like actually trying to be a part of the show. And we're like, no, like there are specific instances where we pull you in, otherwise you sit there and you'd be an audience member. But yeah, he jumped up on stage and he grabbed me. I'm in like a wheelchair in the last scene, and he like pushed me off stage. And I'm like, what are you doing back here? Like, it's like, go sit down. But I mean, it was fun, but
now we know it was premeditated.
Show.
It wasn't impulsive. He planned it all out.
He definitely had to have planned this out.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh. And so before that, you had just finished, felt like a forever long run of, in a good way, Beauty and the Beast at Candlelight Dinner Playhouse, and you were the Beast.
I was, which is crazy in itself. So I'm a tiny guy. I'm only 5'9" on a good day, and I don't know what that means on a good day. Anyways, anytime I tell anybody, hey, I'm cast as the Beast at Candlelight, they would go, huh. Are they gonna put you in stilts? Like, how are they gonna transform you because like you're so small? And we decided to just take my size and work with it and make it more animalistic as opposed to just being big. Because anytime you see Beauty and the Beast, it ends up being a 35-year-old man with a little bit of a belly, and he's like an amazing singer, but it's just this big presence as a beast. Exactly. So I had to figure out all these different ways to be intimidating and beastly and stuff by still being small. So they had me kind of crouched down and walk around like that. And it was a long process, 4 months walking around.
It was like 14
not
weeks
being
long,
able to
yeah.
fully stand. I had a doctor tell me that I had lost a couple inches off my height from doing it because I went for like a checkup because I was like, my back hurts, my knees hurt. I'm only 25. Like, this isn't right. And it ended up being a lot of that stuff. But it was great. I loved it. It was a once in a lifetime opportunity.
And then coming up in Conifer, you're doing Pharaoh and Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat stage door.
Yes.
So talk about getting to be the Pharaoh.
So this is something that I'm actually really excited about. Tanner Kelly, he does a lot of music directing all over Denver. He's an amazing guy. I love working with him. And he's actually the director for this. And when I found out he was doing Joseph, he asked me if I would be interested in auditioning for him. And I said, well, yeah, I'd love any opportunity to work with you. It would be great. And it just ended up working out for me to be Pharaoh, and which is good because, like, a lot of people, when they think Joseph, they're like, oh, I want to be Joseph. Like, he's like the title character. He gets to sing all the songs. But, like, Pharaoh's like the rock star of the show.
He is.
He shows up for one scene, he just rocks it out, and then
he's done.
He's done. He's good to go.
Yep, exactly.
And I almost was like a Conrad Birdie down at Performance Now kind of thing. I ended up being Higo, but I was almost there. So it's like that Elvis-y kind of character like came back. And so it's like, this is like my time to be like that Elvis character.
And
so it'll be fun.
In our conversation, we've discovered you've been offered 2 roles. So what you're saying is when you audition, it doesn't go so well the first time, and then they call you and they're desperate.
I don't want to say I was offered 2 roles. I wasn't. But that's actually how I've. It sounds crazy, but that's actually how I've gotten a lot of work in Denver. Is I went out after I graduated from Metro, and I just auditioned for the first show, and I was lucky enough to just get that. It was Bobby Strong in Urinetown at the Equinox, and just one person saw me, and it was just the right person, and they're like, "Hey, I saw you in the show. Come to callbacks for this character for this show," and then I would be great, and I would just go and do callbacks, just have fun, just do some callbacks, and then end up getting like a good part in that show. And it literally has just been trickled down, and that's how it's been for the last 4 years.
Well, I think it just proves how versatile of an actor you are and how talented you are.
Oh.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course. Last week, the Denver Center opened their production of Native Gardens. This comedy about bickering neighbors is more than just a good laugh. We sat down with the playwright to talk more about it. Take a look.
My name is Karen Zacarias, and I am the playwright for Native Gardens.
Oh, it is beautiful. It reminds me of my parents' garden.
Very European.
Thank you.
Native Gardens is a story about 2 sets of couples, 2 neighbors, a young Latino upcoming couple right next to a beautiful stately house owned by Virginia Butley and her husband, Frank.
Zacharias found inspiration for the show when one night she and some friends were talking about problems that they had with neighbors.
There's something kind of very primal and poetic and absolutely absurd about these neighbor disputes that usually involve property or some kind of taste or cultural issue. And I started thinking about it, that how almost all the conflicts that are going out in the globe at this moment can be boiled down to the idea of neighbors and borders and taste and culture.
Now, just as gardens like this one are complex and beautiful at the same time, Native Gardens beautifully mixes complex issues of our modern world in with comedy, ensuring that really anyone can enjoy the play.
I think people are relieved to come to a play where everybody in the audience, whether you're conservative or progressive or in the middle or undecided or confused or apathetic or just done, that everyone can sit down and laugh at this recognizable situation, because really at the end the culture that we're watching happening is human. You will laugh, you will have a great time, it will make you think, it will make you reflect, it will make you feel connected to your community, and it will make you want to garden. So if you miss the smell of spring and the scent of hope and the idea of community and communion with your fellow Americans, you should come and enjoy Native Gardens.
Native Gardens is now playing at the Denver Center through May 6th. Tickets start at $30.